guys, welcome to Halloweekly. We're going to do a review of the movie Don't Breathe. I'm going to try to do it in one breath and not breathe. George, what do you think? Alex, what do you think?
I think that was pretty good, Nick.
I can't use any more breath. We went and saw. Okay, so this is a review episode, and we're here. We're here with Alex Taylor. I'm running out of breath. I can't laugh. First impressions, guys. Jump right in.
Say something funny. Make him laugh. All right, Don't Breathe.
I'll go first. I really liked it, George.
It's still the same breath. He's not cheating. So saw this in the theater.
And I'm out. Okay, I'm back in.
Nearly empty theater. Emptier as the movie progressed because some people walked out.
Well, we also went on a weekday too.
Yeah.
So we didn't go when it was hot and you know on opening weekend.
Yes, correct.
When did you see it, Alex? When did you see it?
I saw it on Sunday and the theater was packed.
Packed?
Perfect.
Cool.
That's packed house.
So yeah, that'll be interesting to see if that changes like how you take it. I thought it was a really, really well done movie. I liked probably 80% of it. I
agree.
I had some issues with some of the stuff that we can't go over now because
these first opening thoughts are spoiler free.
Yeah.
After this, we're gonna
deep dive and
go
spoil the
right
hell out
in,
of it.
yeah.
So, right, but for right now we're keeping it spoiler free. So, I mean, I just like there's some amazing things like the camera work as it works its way through the house. Like it was really interesting that when you first go into the house where the blind man lives, the camera is like spinning around the rooms and like Nick, you noticed a lot more than I saw.
Yeah, and all the like important things that would be used later in the film, the camera just hung on it for like just 2 seconds at the most.
So you kind of knew it was highlighting like what is
exactly, and it kind of
what's going to come into play.
Exactly, and it was very subtle. It wasn't too in your face. Like, by the way, this thing's gonna be important. This thing's gonna be important. Because the way they did it was they trailed. It almost sort of like you explored the house almost kind of at the same rate the burglars.
Yes,
the burglars did.
Which is cool.
I actually kind of disagree. I thought it was like too obvious what they were showing during the opening thing. Because I think I had a different reaction to the film than you guys did.
Well, I knew those were gonna be used, but like I thought the camera hung on it. If it would have hung on it any longer, I would have been like, why did they? I thought they did it just right to show you what it was. I mean, it was obvious. What like that hammer? What's that going to be used for? Like that's.
And I'm curious how much of it is intentional and how much of it like there's a moment I really really liked in the opening shot where this guy's dragging someone down the street. They're clearly bleeding. It's shot from above, and it's a great shot. But
that is my favorite part of the movie is the opening shot because as it gets closer and closer, you are putting the story together in your mind. Like, okay, so that's somebody walking down the street. Okay, he's dragging something. Okay, that's a human being. Okay, that human being is bleeding. Yes. That's one of the most effective shots in the film, and I think it's fucking brilliant.
And we should do it justice. Like it's also giving you just this incredible introduction to this area of Detroit.
Exactly.
It looks like shit.
Oh, it sets up.
Down.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like Gothic, but like modern. Like, but the funny thing is, the shot was beautiful. But the thing I really liked about what happened in it was, as he's dragging this person, you start to hear police sirens. Now, in any horror movie that I can think of, right? Like The Invitation comes to mind, or a bunch of others. When police sirens are coming in a horror movie, that's because they're coming to the scene of what happened in the horror movie, right? And in this shot, you hear the sirens get louder, and then there's a fainter, and they're gone. Because there's all kinds of bad shit happening everywhere, right? So they're not coming here. Like this is horror. It's signaling you that whatever horrible things happen in this movie, no one's going to stop it. It's going to play out, right? Which I thought was it's a great shot, but also the sound that went with the shot. Right?
The sound design in that movie was pretty goddamn top notch.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it had to be. In terms of just doing the showing how they motivated the blind guy himself. I don't want to go too far without spoiling it for anyone who plans on seeing it.
Yeah, we'll get into it. Yep.
But what was your first thoughts on the film? You liked it?
Yeah, I overall I liked it. It's getting really, really crazy high reviews. I don't think it's going to be one of those films that like people are going to be talking about for years. It's not a classic, but as far as like modern horror, I think, and like to see in the theater, I think it's solid. I would totally recommend seeing it.
And I'm excited for whatever, what's his name? Fetty, or how do you say his name? Alvarez? Alvarez. I'm super stoked to see whatever he does next, because I noticed Sam Raimi produced this one too, so that sort of seems like, you know, that's his boy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the same composer that did the Evil Dead remake did the music to this. And it's the score is awesome. The
yeah,
score is
that
amazing.
Crew has horror like on point.
I'll stop,
Sam Raimi
though.
producing, like, you can.
Yeah.
Well, that's one
talent.
of the first things is you know you're in the hands of a really competent team from the jump. Like, it feels well put together, right? So you know that that's there. The question is, like, is it going to be scary, right? And like, there, you know, you're in a real world. I read an interview with the director where he was like, they were like, what influenced this film? And he said Psycho, which surprised me a little bit. But he was like, it's just the structure of a not supernatural threat, something in the real world causing, you know, real problems. Like, and you know, it makes me think of Green Room, right? Which I think is a really, really, I liked it a lot. Not scary, zero scary to me, right? So I was worried that this movie was not going to be scary at all. But there are some really good scares in it.
Yeah, a lot of good suspense.
How about your opening impression?
I said it in one breath. I like
it. All right. Well, let's give a spoiler alert.
Okay, so from here on out, if you're one of those people who are, you know, hate spoilers, stop now. We're all gonna go around, talk about things we liked and things we did not like. I'm gonna start off with the dog when he's chasing after the girl in the crawl space. He looked way too fucking happy. That like really threw me off, because it's supposed to be this like super intense, like, oh shit, like, oh my god, super dog, like, you know, the dog's fucking like, oh, he's so unstoppable, but he looks like he's fucking thrilled to like bite her ankle off, and I was like,
no, you said it when we were watching it, and it totally was true. You were that dog looked like an animal trainer was holding a biscuit, somewhere, and he was like, I'm getting this, and I'm just happy.
Yeah, but I mean, it kind of ruined the suspense for me, because, like, you know, the last thing I want to be like is like, why did that guy look fucking thrilled to be there that day? I don't know. And then the other scenes, the silhouette, I thought he was intimidating, like in this, like when he was like a silhouette, and the guy's like, Alex, I think the character was Alex. He's like, don't, you know, good boy, don't move, you know, good boy. I thought the dog was great there. And then you said you didn't like the car thing when we talked about it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I could have done without the dog invading the car thing. Like, it made sense that she was using her knowledge of being trapped in car trunks in her past to her advantage to vanquish her enemy. But first of all, you let the dog in the car, and second of all, it's like, you know, that's the thing, is like, one of the things I really appreciate about the movie is that the actors, like especially Jane Levy and Stephen Lang, were so realistic, and they were so good at grounding the movie in that dirty Detroit like realism. Like, they made it believable. Even scenes that were sort of preposterous, they made it totally believable, right? So you got this really realistic movie, and then you got this super dog that goes through ductworks and cars, and you know, I was expecting him to like climb the Empire State Building next. It was a little much, so I could do without those parts. I did like the introduction to the dog scene, and when they drugged him, and that stuff was cool. But
all right, so Alex, what was something you didn't like about the?
Actually, the intro to the dog was the first jump scare in the movie.
Yes,
like that was the part that scared the hell out of everyone the most. Right. I think when he just jumps up at the car,
right?
Cujo style.
Yeah, it freaks out everybody, and then you're kind of like, oh, so this is the type of movie I gotta get myself ready for.
That actually made people in the theater jump.
It made my girlfriend just like shake me.
Oh yeah, because you saw it with a packed house.
Yeah,
and so that played really well in the theater.
I think that got the biggest jump. I could say
that makes sense, because that's like the first. That's like
it was,
you know, top of the film, almost fucking with you.
Yeah, so that was cool.
One of the issues I had was actually when Stephen Lang, his character, is going through, and he walks past all the people the first time, and then he goes into... Oh, no. Actually, by this point, when he finds out there's more people, he smells the shoes, And it's the shoes that he smells because they take off their shoes at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
And he already killed the bad actor in the movie.
And I had a problem with that already, by the way, because they come into the house, they make all kinds of noise. They break a window. Yeah. They make all kinds of noise. They talk to each other, and then they're like, "Now let's take off our shoes." What?
Yeah, I was just like, that was bizarre.
Right.
But like the fact that like after he kills the guy, he's like walking to get his tools or whatever, and as he's walking back, he smells the shoes, and that's when he's like, "Oh shit, there's someone else in the house." I think he should have just like maybe tripped over the shoes, because clearly, I think if he would have smelled those shoes, he probably would have smelled the other people in the house 4 feet away from him. And it's just like he became a bloodhound there.
That was it was weird to me. I don't know what the movie exactly was trying to achieve. I think that I ended up liking it, but I had to work to get there, where he's not like a super villain in the beginning. He is walking right past people, and he is like, he honestly is. There's parts where he's like, he's not aware that other people are there, and they're clearly making some sounds. Like the floor creaks. The kid, Alex puts his foot down on the wooden floor. The floor creaks, and then he looks around, or no, he doesn't look around. He's trying to assess the environment, and then what he does is he's like, I guess there's no one. Yeah. So he wasn't like a super villain. But then there were other parts of the movie where someone would make a sound 2 rooms over, and he was on it. Like,
yeah, maybe
it was inconsistent, right?
Yeah, I agree, and I feel like by that point, after he murdered that guy, his senses or his alertness would be like already out of 10. So like anything would be.
I did like the line the one kid gave out before they went into the house. I think his name was Money.
Yes.
The guy who gets killed. I love how he was like, "Oh, the lights are out. He's asleep," and the one kid goes, "He's blind. Lights out doesn't mean anything."
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
Another thing, and that's the thing, is like, whenever I see people who are like, "Fuck jump scares, they're cheap," I always like come to their aid. Like, no, like, fuck it. If you want to do jump scares, do jump scares. But then like, when I was watching this, I became a total hypocrite. I'm like, man, cut it out the jump scares, man. One, because I love horror movies, but I hate being scared.
Right.
So like I hate fucking like, oh shit, like I hate that. But I really can't get over the smiling dog, man. No.
You're still stuck.
So I think the one scene that everyone talks about with this movie is the turkey baster scene. Did that fuck with you guys at all? Like, did you guys feel uncomfortable or like?
Oh, uncomfortable, but I think that was the goal. Also, I thought it was strange. He's like, "I don't rape," but it's like you're still raping somebody, even if you use a turkey baster, bro. Like that's like
right. A lot of shit's going against this young woman's will here.
I don't think it added anything to the movie, and it didn't have to be there to me.
I agree.
And whatever they thought it was adding, I don't see it. I mean, honestly, it did make people in the theater walk out. So
yeah, we saw two women walk out.
If you're trying to make people uncomfortable, then
did anyone walk out in the big show when you saw it?
No, but there were like tons and tons of audible like, oh, like what the fuck, and like that was like, we had a really like kind of like classy like people there, like not like yelling at the movie the entire time, but when that moment happened, everyone just it
was gross.
It was gross.
Well, yeah, I mean, but whatever, fair enough. Like, horror movies can be gross. The thing is, like when you're constructing a movie, like I'm assuming. So the director actually said something in an interview that I really, really liked. I dug on this. He was like, I was trying to get equal shares of hope and fear in every shot. And I think that's a really cool principle. And if you're trying to accomplish that, I think that's great. Like, whatever. But like, you already had the hope and fear of the blind character in the movie, so you didn't need to bring this in to get.
Yeah, he gets it when he gets the hold of the Beretta. Right. That was his hope.
Right. Well, no, I get like you can turn it so his hope is that he's going to have like a daughter replacement or whatever. So that lines up with the hope. But what it means is it means that this what you've had to do to this character is you've twisted him into a kind of person that makes the movie actually less scary. not more.
Yeah, that was my problem with it. Was I thought it would have been more effective, at least for me, if they didn't add the whole like him kidnapping the rich lady to do all that. Because for me, like, when both people are equally as shitty, you can just Fright Night the fucking house and blow it up, and I'm not gonna give two shits. So I don't give a fuck about anyone. Like, you can kill this guy, great. Right. You can kill these robbers, great. I don't give a fuck about any of them. So for me, I felt like there could have been something else. I don't know. I just feel like I don't know what that thing is, but for me, it just kind of it took away from, like, I'd rather it fucking be this poor guy, we feel bad for him,
right?
And then he turns the tables on them, and then it becomes them getting out, and he can just turn into a sick motherfucker and like torture the kid and fucking shoot him.
But even if you like the idea of putting this in there, the execution is still poor. So I was out of the movie for 3 minutes because I was like, how the fuck did this blind guy kidnap this rich girl?
Yeah.
Like, did he
I didn't even consider that. I never had a problem with there being that extra element of there being a person held in captivity in the basement. I didn't have a problem with that. I actually thought it was kind of interesting just to throw that extra thing in there. But I never even considered that.
How do you acquire her? like
I don't know. And they didn't describe it, or they just kind of glazed over it.
That seems and the only plausible way that can happen is there's two ways this went down. He invited the rich girl to his rundown Detroit house. No. Or he hired someone to go capture her, right? Or he sent his super dog.
I was just going to say the super dog.
The dog dragged her back.
Just charmed her back.
But then, see, that's the problem is to have this in the movie, now you have to have this thought experiment where this guy is working with other people. And I like him better alone.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So
well, they probably want you to believe that he did it on his own. I just don't know how.
Right. Highly unlikely. And then I also had a problem with the when Alex and Jane Levy are trying to escape through the basement, through the door, they get down the basement, they discover Rebecca's being held captive there, and then he says, "We got to go. We're gonna get out. We'll call the police," which is perfectly fine. Like, that's, I mean, I know it sucks to leave a person behind, but you've learned at this point that this guy is too dangerous to pause,
to trifle with.
So you got to jet out of there, and when they didn't jet out of there, it was one of those horror movie moments where I'm like, oh my god, why are you staying? Right? So yeah, not a big fan of the turkey baster or what it did to the movie.
I understand what it would like. It was when you mentioned it earlier what the director was trying to say. I understand it was supposed to be like a transference of power. For a while in the movie, he was the only one in control of the situation. And by taking this phallic thing and shoving it into his mouth, that's like a cue to the public that he is no longer in control.
Right.
It's strange. I liked it. Did you ever have Chuck Derry? I'd love to hear what he thinks about all this.
I did not.
He literally wrote the book on horror. He's a professor of ours at Wright State. And if you Google horror, he's like, they cite his book like a dozen times. It's awesome. Crazy. But anyway, that scene, I don't know.
Could you have lived with it or lived without it?
Yeah, I could have lived without it, but it didn't like disgust me enough to want to leave, and I understand why it's in there.
Well, let me ask you this: same director did Evil Dead. What about the tree?
Yeah, whatever. I mean, you have to. You're given that material, you have to use it, right?
Yeah.
And the way that was done in the remake was, I mean, I could take or leave that too, but it's not. That didn't take me out of the movie. That scene.
It didn't me either. I think that it got in Don't Breathe. Shit just got too real. Like when he fucking brought out the fucking the little grill
Bunsen
or whatever.
burner.
Yeah, he was like just gonna fire up the old sperm here and put it on the grill. You guys want anything? Like, that was so gross.
That was bad.
But yeah, I don't know. But like when it comes, same director did it in Evil Dead, and that one didn't fuck with me as much. Like, it was still pretty gruesome, and then you're like, ugh, because like that's a gross thing, to happen.
But see, that's the thing is what I'm talking about is forget about whether that should be in the movie or not. The execution of it. Right?
Yeah.
So when I think about that scene, the first visual that comes into my mind is her screaming, and the demon across from her mocking her. Opening her mouth and screaming along with her, and just having joy and glee in her eyes. that's a horror movie moment. That's great execution of like. So right? Like I wasn't sitting there after it was over, that scene was over. I was sitting there thinking, wow, that's really cool that they filmed it where she's getting mocked by this thing, right? Because that forwards the movie.
Yeah,
it didn't happen for me. And Don't Breathe. It didn't forward.
Also, his dialogue in that scene where he's like, God, it's a joke. I'm like, stop talking.
That's what I mean. Is his character got weakened by that whole plot point. No matter how you turn it, it gave him bad dialogue. It had him. He had to work with people somehow to. I mean, you're sabotaging your own best character. He was the best character in the movie.
He was, yeah. And but just the dialogue there. I'm like, he could have. I mean, really, he didn't have to say anything. Like, if he didn't say anything, it probably would have been more powerful to me,
right?
At least. But the whole, anytime people give that dialogue, which is funny, we talked about Gary Oldman saying, look what your God did to me. Mm-hmm. That worked. Mm-hmm. But in this one, because, you're talking about fucking Dracula himself, talking about, like, what God did to him, because it's like, fucking that shit happened to him, and that's why he's this, fucking. But in this one, I'm just like, nah, you just had, like, some shitty shit happen to your daughter.
Right. Well, I get why he feels that way. That's fine, but it's not like to me, it was clumsy the way it was introduced, because Jane's captive now, and then she starts praying, and he's like, that's when he goes into his "there's no God" diatribe, and it was just it felt like they got like pushed into the.
So It's Always Sunny.
I have no idea.
Oh, it felt like it was pushed, put there in the movie where he was responding with this thing that is his motivation to her prayer, and it feels like one of those moments where the writers just like couldn't figure out a better way
to do it,
right, to get him to give that speech, right?
Yeah.
So
is there so what else did you guys not dig about the film? Anything else come to mind?
I'm trying to think of specific moments. Actually, I'm still stuck on.
It's hard because there's so much about it I like that it's hard.
Yeah,
it's
that's
hard for
really
me to
the
even
big
come up with other not.
That's the
things.
big chunk of what I didn't like, because everything else I think I like. So I guess we can jump into the good shit. Yeah, so
for sure,
I just want to kick off the fucking scene when they were in the basement. Mm-hmm. I think that was a favorite scene of ours that we were talking about on the way back. The scene when they're in the basement and it's like, it's not night vision, but in the the old green and black, it's like this like milky white and black, and the way they're just fucking going around, the way their eyes are just fucking completely fucking dilated. I love that. I remember sitting there thinking like, this is shot so fucking cool.
Yep,
I love that. And Alex, you mentioned sounds, like the sound in that scene of just like every fucking noise they make, every fucking time that gun went off, like I had to like look away because the screen was just going from like super dark to super bright to super dark to super bright.
Yep.
I fucking loved that scene, dude. That was like the most suspenseful fucking one of the most suspenseful scenes.
Yeah, and I really dislike the night vision scene in Silence of the Lambs, so I expected that I was gonna not like as soon as
That's exactly what I thought of too, was the scene from Silence of the Lambs. Yeah.
And as soon as Stephen Lang knocked out the lights and I realized what was happening, I was like, I'm not gonna like the scene. But I loved it because one of the things I really love in horror movies is when the character does something. It's really disorienting. They're forced to do something that is not wise, but they have no option. Which I love. What happens in the scene is they can't see. They're trying to work. These two characters are trying to work to get out together. And there's this one moment where she's just like, Alex. And you're giving away your position, but there's just no other way to locate him, right?
I felt so tense during that.
Yeah, exactly.
All my palms were sweating in that. Really I wiped them on my girlfriend's face. She was not too happy.
How was the big theater? Because there was only like 6 other people, less than that, with us. How was the big showing?
I mean, people usually jumped. Like I said, it was that damn dog where people jumped the most. I'm trying to think of other moments where people jumped.
Were you guys during that scene like? During those scenes when, especially that one, but throughout the film, myself, not just because we were in a theater, even if I was watching this at home, I was being quiet myself because I didn't want to make any fucking noise.
Yep.
I'm like, shit, I can't make a noise.
I did that actually in the first scene after he kills the one guy. I was like, I actually found myself not breathing, just like when they're like not like, and when that fucking phone goes off and he just shoots that way.
Yeah.
That was that's
what
that's
a cool fucking shot that was. That like the fucking like almost first person fucking gun.
Yep.
Every time it waved and her fucking reaction.
Yeah.
When he waved to pass her, but when he went back the second time. Her fucking face of like, I'm gonna fucking die.
That was great. Well, it was what the director was saying, hope and fear. She was hoping she wasn't gonna die. She was afraid she was going to, and she on her face, she almost looked like someone whose life sucks. Who's like, it's like the coin toss scene in No Country for Old Men.
Yeah,
she's like, maybe not. Maybe I'm gonna get it. Maybe not. Like, it's too late to do anything about it now. And that feeling is such a helpless. Like,
they
she
did
acted
so
that
good.
Perfect. Yep.
There, what reminded me that since the basement scene, I think was probably my favorite one, just because I thought it just looked like that shot was so fucking butter. Like they just looked so great. It reminded me. Have any of you seen the Tales from the Crypt movie from the 70s?
Yes.
I believe that there's the scene where the guy's crawling in between two walls with razor blades.
Yes.
And it reminded me of that. So he's crawling through this really tight wall, and there's razor blades all up and down the wall, and he has to be really careful. Same thing with those kids. They go through this basement that was kind of maze-like, because then they go in there, they're looking around. He has it set up weird. And then the guy turns out the lights, and like you'd think like, well, they walked through it. They've been down there. They know where they're going. Turns out the lights, everything just becomes foreign to them. And it reminded me of that scene in Tales from the Crypt. The guy goes through the fucking razor blade wall. Sure. And he goes, and again, there's another dog in the scene. He goes to the door. Guy opens the door. Fucking vicious dog comes after him. So he has to run back through the razor blade wall that took him a few minutes to get to, except the guy knocks the lights out. So then he can't see, and he has to, fucking, it reminded me of that scene. I think
that dog was not smiling.
That dog was not smiling. That dog was very mad, and that guy did not look pleased to have to walk through a barbed wire, razor blade wall.
But I want you to talk about, you guys were talking about, I caught you before we started recording talking about an amazing shot where the money gets killed.
That was actually pretty brilliant. What happens is when he gets shot, it's kind of unexpected because, well, it's not unexpected. You know he's going to get shot. But
they played with you for a while because you think this guy, the veteran's going to do the, be like,
I thought he was going to wound him. I didn't think he was going to kill him. I thought it was too early to get rid of a character. So, and I love that they did.
Which would explain the influence of Psycho. Yeah,
and it wasn't like your typical splatter effect where it's just poof, and you see brains just go behind him. They did a slow motion effect from above. And you see the gun like when he pulls the trigger, there's a blast, and inside of his mouth you can see the muzzle flash, and his teeth light up, and like you see like the ripple effect on his face, and it's just like holy shit!
It was
like
so
that was like
cool.
a very fucking visceral, just a vicious shot. Like that's a pretty good. I imagine that's what it would look like to see someone get shot in the fucking mouth
on a Phantom camera.
Yeah,
that's what it looks.
You mentioned Hitchcock. Somebody did, right?
Yeah.
You said that was like one of the director's influences?
Psycho.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a quote from Hitchcock that I was actually just trying to find where he basically says like one great way to add tension is like basically to like you can have two people having a conversation with each other like at a dinner table about anything. But if you like tape a gun to the bottom of that table, or a bomb, that don't even like that changes the entire thing. And that opening shot when not the opening shot, but when they're going through the house and you get into Stephen Lang's bedroom, the camera literally goes under his bed and shows that he has a gun. You're immediately like, oh fuck, these people are in a little more danger than we think.
Right.
And then it just keeps escalating and building and
that
building.
was really slick.
That was slick.
Yeah, that camera move was money.
I loved it. Even showing, the crawl space where the dog is most happiest. Apparently, I got it. That dog thing. I'm gonna keep coming back to that.
I actually love. There's a moment in this movie that I love that I think is great. It's classic, and it's not gonna make the whole movie classic, but it's so good. Like there's this part where they're filming the three kids who are gonna rob the guy. They case the place in in lazy millennial fashion by putting a phone up and
GoPro. They put a GoPro
on a fence, and it just films the coming and goings of the guy. And so they don't put in the work; they just film it, right? And they'll watch the film, right? So there's this great shot from where they put the GoPro in the alley, and it's just straight on the house, but then it gives you like this Detroit background, the ruined streets and the barren wasteland around this house. And they're talking about how the neighborhood is just falling apart. And when you're looking at it, you're realizing that this whole neighborhood disintegrated, and the only person left in it is the guy who can't see it happening. Right? Yeah. which I just thought was just this great touch. Like, who would stay in this shithole? Who would be left here? Oh, the guy who can't see what's happening, right? So it sets it up where you have this feeling of superiority over this character. Like, if he could see, he would never stay here, right?
Yeah.
But then they totally flip it, where he's like so aware of everything that becomes really unlikely. It's just like a power move of his, where he's like, this place lets me do bad things and no one's going to interfere with me. Mm-hmm. But the first shot of it is like this great, like, the house becomes a character.
Yeah.
And I really love that.
I loved how they played with getting out of the house so much. Like when Alex, well, the other thing I understand is they were like, this bar, all the windows had bars, but the one the dog knocked him out of didn't.
Yeah, I didn't get
I was thinking, like, why the fuck didn't they just jump out of that window? Because the dog just, like, threw his ass right through.
Yeah.
But what I did love was how they fucked with you anytime there was, like, an exit out the door. Because the whole time I'm watching this fucking movie, I'm like, fucking drop kick, like, do something, like, anything. Yep. And then the one fucking time he's actually outside and you're like, okay, just like glasses, starting to break. You can fucking do this. Just like roll over. You can do it.
Right.
And I loved how it, like, it shattered, right? Shattered his dreams and the glass by the fucking blind dude, like, missing him and then hitting the glass and going back. I fucking loved that because it just played with, like, my fucking emotions so much. I'm like, come on, just get out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get how he got out the window, but it led to a great scene. Because that glass crackling sound, and then him, like, is he gonna fall? Like, that was
on top of it.
And then that happened again when she kicked off the the little gate inside the crawl space. Again, fucking freedom right there, and then his ass just pulls it down right through. I love that.
That actually reminds me a lot of the last scene of a movie called Them, the French movie that is kind of The Strangers is sort of an American remake of that.
Oh.
But she's like at a grate and then she gets pulled back. And I knew that was going to happen because it was shot exactly the same way. But it was still, like, effective because you're right. Like, you're really at this point just rooting for her to get out. And then...
Did you guys feel claustrophobic during the film? Like, did you feel like I felt like I was being, like, we were talking, I was being quiet, and at the same time, like, I really just wanted to stretch my legs, like, the whole fucking time I'm watching. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
That's an effective movie.
Yeah. What did you guys think of when he blew the one girl's brains out, the girl he impregnated before?
Oh, he again, I think he just shot her
in the face.
Yeah, which was pretty...
That was pretty nasty.
Actually, when I was watching it and he shot her in the face and he started to cry, I mean, I knew there was some personal relationship. I actually thought it was his daughter. I thought, like, maybe he had faked his death
for a
or something.
second too.
But
and then common sense hit, and I was like, but why would he chain his daughter up to the fucking thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, what did you think of the turn of events where he stabbed the already dead friend with the garden shears?
I really like that because they kept that whole theme of, like, if you're just really fucking quiet, like, you're safe.
Yeah.
Right. And then they continued with those rules throughout the rest of the film. And I really thought that Alex had got it. And so I was like, oh, well, he's dead. This girl, just like in Evil Dead, she's going to be the one to fucking make it through. And again, this movie just fucked with you so many times because you think he's dead. Once when he goes through the glass, I thought he was dead when he went through the glass. And I thought, I kind of knew he was going to live because I knew he was going to go through the pain and then of glass. But I really just like how it fucked with you so many times. You're like, okay, he's dead. That's it. Got the whole, lawn scissors in the chest. That poor character went through a lot in that movie.
Just to die.
Just to fucking. What did you think? What did you think of the gunshot at the end when he opened the door?
I think it was. I think he had to. I don't know. If he would have gotten away, I would have been like, I don't know how to explain that. I just would have felt unbelievable.
No, that's exactly right.
Like,
did it feel Night of the Living Dead almost to you? Because, like, I thought that the cops were there And I thought for some reason I thought the cops blew his brains out, and I was like,
that would have been kind of cool.
But then I was like, well, why are the cops
shooting it? Well, yeah.
Well, the problem is, you and I talked about this right after we watched it. Is that I felt like he came back from the dead one too many times.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
And that was you're in good shape and good on you, Stephen Lang. But I mean. It just happened once too often for me. I was a big fan actually of. I like that they took him out that way because it led to her having that great scene where she was like, "I'm sorry, Alex." Like she was talking to him dead, and I felt like I flipped way more onto her side from that moment because, I mean, we should probably talk a little bit about like these characters have come to rob a blind man.
Yeah.
And they're still thinking about the money through the entire movie. They never give up on this crime, right? And like that's I don't know how that makes me feel about them.
They're still criminals. They're not good people.
Yeah.
Even if she has a daughter who wants to surf in Michigan.
I think that's her sister. Is it her sister or daughter?
Sister.
Oh, it's a sister?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a daughter.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really got confused. I seriously thought that was her daughter because then he was like, only a parent knows. I was waiting for her to be like, well, you tell her your fucking mom. So now that makes a lot more sense on my end.
But that's the thing is like, it was weird to me that they were, so Alex is the one who was ready to give up first, right? And that actually, so the dynamic of this is interesting because I'm a huge fan of the movie Panic Room.
Mm-hmm. Oh, me too.
This is so similar to this because, the one guy with whatever the cornrows or where the hell his hair
Money.
is. No, in the Panic Room.
Jared Leto.
He wants the jet first, right? And Alex is that guy. Like he was ready to go. He actually left, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, in the beginning. So.
He like stood outside the door for a few seconds.
He was walking away and then he heard a gunshot.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He was hopping the fence.
But he came back for her because he's in love with her. He didn't come back for money, right? Yeah. So, but she had her eyes on that money bag the entire time. She was like, and I know that I just don't know. Like it's in a horror movie, survival comes first, and she got away with being greedy and having survivor instinct simultaneously, which is interesting. I just don't know how I feel about it.
Well, I mean, the blind dude lived too, so.
Yeah, true.
Which I also didn't like that. Like you said, he came back too many times. I just kind of feel like because they're leaving it open for a sequel because you gotta have a sequel.
That's straight to the DVD sequel next year.
Yeah, but she's in California now. I mean, that poor dog is gonna have to go all the way to California to drive.
He's probably on his way. Right?
Smiling, stopping all the In-N-Outs, crawling through the ducks, and making his own animal style burger.
Well, that's what we were talking about. Since it was like insanely profitable. Like,
right.
Mm-hmm. Is there going to be, Don't Breathe 2 even longer?
Yeah.
Right. Well,
I don't think this is the type of thing where like lightning will only strike once. This won't. I feel like it will just become way too gimmicky if they make a sequel.
Yeah. I don't want to see a sequel, but if they left room for a sequel to be open, which was clear that the only thing I can say about that from my perspective is whether you were leaving it open for a sequel or not, at least you didn't put yourself in the dumb fucking position of like the Alien series where you gotta like clone Ripley from lizards or whatever to bring her back. Like, don't kill if you suspect your character is going to be valuable and you want to franchise it. Don't kill him. That makes sense to me. Like, just don't make the sequel though.
I would see a sequel if it was like Blind Man Death Wish edition, where he's just trying to really.
There's no one to kill. The neighborhood's empty. He's
a blind man driving to California. It's a road trip film.
It'll be fun.
It's a road trip film. So overall, everyone, is there anything else that?
No. That overall, I think it's a really effective movie. I think horror fans are who haven't seen it yet are gonna love it.
Good, a lot of suspense.
Yeah, and there's some scares that aren't jump scares and scares that are, right? Mm-hmm. It's not.
They're effective jump scares.
There are. The only thing that I miss, I guess, is, I could think of a better example, but I'm not going to right now. But like the first Evil Dead the original Evil Dead movie, that was genuinely unsettling to me, and it was unsettling after. I knew I was going to be living with that movie for a bit, right?
Yeah.
Like it was like the next time I went out at midnight, like in the yard, I was going to be like, oh shit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This movie's not, the scare evaporates the second you leave the
Yep.
theater to me.
Yeah.
Nothing hangs over. And you know, that's the thing is, like, even Jaws, which is a real life situation, like this movie, like it's not a supernatural force, at least until Jaws 4, the ghost of Jaws, whatever like that. But that, you know, that movie was still unsettling to me in a couple ways when it was over. Like I was disappointed with humanity because the mayor sucks, yeah, and people suck and like whatever. But it was also unsettling from the standpoint of an animal that's just doing what it's going to do. That could translate to other things. You know, you could take it out by a poisonous snake or whatever. Like if an animal's doing what it does and you cross the wrong path with it, you're in trouble. So that stayed with me after. This one, like, I walked out of the theater and then it was like it had never scared me. It just disappeared. Right. So that's the one thing I don't like about it.
Well, I mean, did Panic Room do anything for you after the film?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Well, Panic Room stayed with me in a different way. It made me sad because I really like, I got into Forrest Whitaker's character, and there's that amazing last shot where he's like, his hands are up and he's getting arrested and
letting the paper,
the money's flying all around and like whatever, and you just realize that someone wasted their talents in their life and now their life is just ruined, and like stuff like that stays with you. You know what I mean? For some reason, this didn't. Like it's
because they were both villains at the end, or they were both bad people. You
that's
really
a big
had no
part
one
of
to feel bad for. You're like, okay, so like you get to live and you did really shitty things to people, and
Sure.
you get to fucking live and go live up in California.
Yep, absolutely. But like that's the thing is, like, there are horror movies where, because that kind of reflects our times. That's where horror movies moved. Like they're bleaker and they're less sympathetic people and more anti-heroes and whatever. So there's movies where every character in the movie is a criminal, but they still manage to like do that trick of having a movie stay with you afterwards. This one just failed there to me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. As soon as the movie ended, I was excited to stretch from feeling like feeling like I took a nosedive after running away from a smiling dog in a crawl space, and then I don't know. I think it works better as suspense.
Yes.
Suspense film, other than horror. It's still very much in the horror realm
For sure.
no matter what. But I think it works better as like a suspense thriller, like it was a fun fucking movie. Like I enjoyed like in my head going through every fucking scenario of how the fuck I was getting out of that house.
Yep.
And I enjoyed the shit out of that.
And that's another thing, like that it is the most fun I've had at watching a horror movie in a theater in a while. So it was fun.
Yeah, I fucking love that. And what'd you think?
I feel the same way. No, I didn't love it. I think it's worth seeing in the theater. It's worth seeing once. I don't think I'm ever going to watch it again.
See it with some like friends or like a few people, because then you're all fucking in the same boat of like thinking about how you're going to get the fuck out.
Yep.
Yeah, you can kind of tell if it's a good movie. Like that day, I watched that movie, and then like less than a couple hours after that, I watched another movie. But if there's a movie that you see that generally like disturbs you, you probably won't watch anything else that day.
You don't get hungry again right away.
Yeah, you're just kind of like
Right.
you are stuck in that world, and I did not have that with.
Don't watch it around Thanksgiving when you're cooking the turkey, because then you're just like,
Definitely
man.
not. Right.
Bummer.
This is retire this movie on October 31st. Come back in January.
Yeah, but no, totally worth it. I would recommend everyone going out and checking it out.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Cool.
That's it for you. So don't breathe. Breathe while you watch it. Don't try to review it in one breath. It doesn't work out. I was really.
It worked great. What are you talking about?
That's true. I did give it my spoiler free review, which is it's great. Go see it. 80%.
Exactly.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you everyone. Check us out next time on Halloweekly.
Bye guys.
Woo.